on to our review for the week. So VaultComics was nice enough to send us a copy of their upcoming comic book for this week, Beyond Real #1. Now, before I go into all the details and we start talking about it, one really cool thing that is happening here is that if you like free comics and your store order this, you can get this comic for free. Vault is doing their #1s for free. So they did that for our natural order, which we also talked about on the channel. And they're doing that for this. So if you shop order these, you just have to go and pick it up. And they should give it to you. There's probably going to be variants, which those aren't free. But like the main cover of Beyond Real, I believe I saw Vault said they printed about 130,000 copies of this book to do away for free. So hopefully this works out for them. I really like Vault. I like what they do.
I do too.
I like this book. This book is definitely.
Let's talk about the creative team before we get into that. This is going to be written by Zach Kaplan with artists. We have Fabiana Mascolo and Tony Fejzula. Colors by Jordi Belair and Fejzula color their own stuff. And then letters by Hassan Otsmani Elhau. And let me give you a quick synopsis, and then we'll get to talking about this book. This book, it's an artist discovery. When struggling artist June is injured in a severe car accident that leaves her boyfriend in a coma, she begins to experience strange visual phenomena. Soon, she's able to see that we are actually living in a computer simulation. June must set out on a journey of possibility and peril into the metaphysical layers of the simulation to reach the world's creator and save her true love from death. What a bonkers premise, first of all.
Yeah, because they could have just given her that without that quest part.
Right.
Yeah. And I didn't read the synopsis. I don't like reading the synopsis. Whenever we're going to do a book review, I don't like reading the synopsis before. Just to like go into the book without really knowing anything, because that's part of it, right? Does a book really tell me the story?
Yeah.
Now, another cool thing about this book, and let me confirm that's right. I think we're gonna have different artists come in at some point.
Oh, cool.
Which makes sense.
Oh, that does. Although I did really like this artist. So
in issue 3, we'll have Jorge Corona and Vincento Riccardi, as well as the other artists. So, but let me start with Jeff. What did you think of this book?
Loved it. I love the artwork is just off the wall great, and then the colors that go along with it. I just think the artwork. This is one of those things where like the story is like, oh, I love the story, and then you're like, oh, but the artwork is also brilliant. So the whole book is just a beautiful book. It starts off as this kind of reflection on what is life. Are we in a simulation? That kind of stuff. And then when the hook of the book hits, I mean, it had me. I was like, oh, I wish I had picked this up in at the shop when I was there. Immediately is what I felt. So I just wrote a note to myself to go to the shop and try to see if there's still one available.
You're muted.
They're free and they're out there.
Josh,
Daniel,
what did you
there
think?
you go.
Oh, I really liked it. Like Jeff said, I think the art was great. It did have a couple of moments where I feel like some of the computer effects made deciphering what was happening difficult, but it's a very minor thing. I mean, it didn't really impact the story at all. The story is great. I think in our chat, sorry, I guess in my eye, I described it as like an existential Tron, like she's like entering into this world. And I like the fact that, again, no spoilers, but the story could have gone in one direction. It was about somebody gaining abilities. And instead it goes in a direction that's much more like, think, classic stories of people trying to save someone. And they set it up immediately. There is a risk involved for her doing this, and she does it anyway. And so I like that very organically, like the scales are set as we wrap up the issue. So it's good. It was really great.
Nice.
It's big and personal, both at the same time too.
Yeah, that's a really, really good way to say it. Yeah.
Clay?
I loved it. I mean, I love the art matching with what's happening, so it really is critical to the story because as she goes through that change, she sees things differently. So I love that piece. I kind of want to get into a spoiler area territory here.
Then let's go around everybody, and then we can do like a spoiler place, and then we'll go into that.
Yeah, because when we get near the end, there's things that like I'm already questioning and looking forward to in other issues.
Now, I guess as a note, we got the first 3 issues, but I asked everyone to only read the first one for now. So we'll probably come back and talk more about this because I feel like we all got really hooked on the first one. But I liked it. I liked it a lot too. I really like, first of all, how you start with kind of like interpersonal story of these 2 characters that are just in a relationship, and even the banter back and forth between them is pretty fun. Like, it's pretty fun. And then you get to that page of the shocking reveal. Like, it's really, let me pull the art back up because it's very well paced in that double spreadsheet, like where they're driving and kind of going through the road
shot,
and then you just see the big truck behind them.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, what's about to happen now? So like, I did not expect it to go that way. Although I guess I kind of should have. Zach Kaplan's done some stuff like this where it's very like heavy concept. There was the other Vault book, Mindset, which was about this app that lets you control people and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff like that. I really, really enjoyed it. And like I said, the art is very cool. I like when she's getting her powers, or I guess when all that stuff, when this stuff is glitching.
Well, pull that picture back up because it looks like maybe it starts there because like the car has glitches in it.
Yeah, right. So Clay, let's we're gonna go into spoilers for issue number 1 of Beyond Real. So Clay, what's going on? What did you want to address?
Okay, so we get to the point in the book where she's starting to see the world as a simulation, and then she gets to like essentially like a control panel. And so there's a few things we get from this that I guess some way humans can access this because she's able to get it. It is in English. So are the people that built the simulation also humans that speak English or have some sort of translator within the system? Like there are things about just that setup is like, it talks to her in a way she'll understand, but it's almost like if you've ever played the game Zork, and I'm just talking to the old people now, you're just given a command and that's it. You're given a description and then like, what can you do? And actually this one's at least far enough along that it's asking like, can it repair things? So it's also not perfect. So it also must have people who are tech support for the simulation. So like there's other ideas that this first issue gives me about the simulations probably run by other humans, not aliens.
I'm glad you guys said it was a simulation. It's not what I got from it. I thought it was like she was kind of. I got it was a computer-based world, but I thought it was more like she was opening up to like some kind of computer. Like
I think this is like a Matrix type of thing.
Yeah,
where,
See, I didn't
maybe that's what I was thinking.
So
I thought it was the simulation because of their discussion at the beginning of the book.
But
I think that discussion is more like a high level. Like we are all just in a simulation. This isn't real.
I thought she was getting superpowers and somehow opened herself up to the world of an electronic world.
Yeah.
Like an alternate reality or something that she was going into. And now she's like inside a computer. I'm like,
okay, well, we need the second and third issue so we can figure this out.
Yeah, well, luckily we have them, so we don't have to wait. We'll have the answer, but you guys make sure to go pick this up at the shop next week. Like I said, the first issue should be free unless you want to splurge on one of those nice variant covers. There are some really cool variant covers, which you'll see in just a second. Local store. Yeah, yes. Support your local comic shops. Is there anything else on this one before we move on? Okay, well, cool. Thanks to VaultComics. Thanks to Zach. He sent us over the review copy, so we really appreciate that. Always fun to get to read comic books in advance. So here's the covers, just so y'all can see them. Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Where the Body Was. This is a new graphic novel from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips, with colors by Jacob Phillips, of course. The best-selling creators of Pulp, Reckless, and Criminal are back with an original graphic novel that readers will be obsessed with. A boarding house full of druggies and neglected housewife, a young girl who thinks she's a superhero, a cop who wants to be left alone, a private detective looking for a runaway girl. These stories all collide in a fateful summer in Where the Body Was, a tale of love and murder in the suburbs, told from a dozen different points of view. All the neighbors on the block have an opinion and about the murder and how it happened, but which of them is telling the truth? Where the Body Was is a tour de force from Grandmasters Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. Starting with a map of the crime scene, this murder mystery follows the ripples of this killing as they echo through the decades of love and lust and passion and violence, like a true crime podcast crossed with a long-lost diary. Where the Body Was is unlike anything Brubaker and Phillips have ever done, and this is a must-have if you are a fan. I quite agree with everything that the synopsis is telling you. Let's look at that map real quick. This was very intriguing. As a longtime reader of Brubaker and Phillips's work, starting off with a map like this, which almost feels like a little board game to me. Like maybe kind of looking at, definitely it gives me like vibes of Clue and stuff like that. But it really puts everything in perspective, right? Even letting you know where the body was at the beginning of the book. So that's not really the mystery driving here. We also get introduced to a cast of characters. Very intriguing. There's also 9 characters. There's 9 points on the map. So, of course, these are going to be a lot of the points of view that we're going to be seeing. And it is just... It's a book that doesn't fully reveal itself immediately. This is a long drawn out mystery that Brubaker and Phillips choose to take their time. The pacing is it's very serene as the story kind of builds up. You learn a lot about the characters all around, establishing the neighbors, their history with the street, with each other, their relationships, and as you kind of work through all this narrative, you kind of even start forgetting about the mystery of the body. Like the interest in the body feels like an afterthought until it's not, right? So it's a very interesting ride of each of these characters just focusing on how stressful their lives are and everything that happened because of this body. All that, of course, paired with Phillips' immaculate art. It is just such a fantastic way to depict the neighborhood, the time zone, the flashbacks. I think Jacob Phillips does an amazing job with the colors just washing over everything. I love how the flashbacks are even colored a little bit differently to give the reader an opportunity to understand what's going on. Crazy little funky dialogue. It's funny. It's quirky. All the characters seem very well thought out, very rounded out. In an interview that Brubaker did with the I Read Comic Books podcast, which I was helping produce, he talked about how much material he wrote about these characters, and you can really tell. Like you can tell every little face, every little grin, every little expression from these characters that Phillips manages to capture. They come from this dialogue and from this script that Brubaker has prepared. So it is just a fantastic collaboration of these two creators that have been working together for such a long time that it just makes something like this feel very special. And it also reveals that they have so many things left in their bag of tricks. Like as much as they could just rely on putting out book after book of like Reckless or Criminal, they keep pushing the boundaries of what one can do in comic books. They keep pushing the boundaries of what each other can do in their art form. And I just think it's really cool to see these creators, after such a long time working together, still continue to grow and surprise the audience. And yeah, like the quote says in the book from Jordan Harper, it is a masterfully told puzzle box mystery with a fiercely beating human heart. And I think that's what makes the book special. So Hello everyone, Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees #2. This is a new book from IDW. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. Once again, I love that the presentation of the neighborhood newspaper giving you a little bit of an update of what's going on. But this is written and illustrated by Patrick Horvath with letters by Hassan Otsmani Elhau. And as I mentioned, this is a book from IDW. So if you didn't catch up on the last issue, let me give you a quick synopsis. In this little town, everything was peaceful until a grisly murder happened at the parade. Now, we also have our protagonist, who is an actual murderer, and now this murder is going to cross paths with her own work. So in this issue, horrified to learn that she's not the only serial killer in Woodbrook and insulted, frankly, by the rookies' flair for the dramatic, Samantha hits the pavement to silence the competition before they ruin her quiet, perfectly curated life. But the insufferable, latte-chugging, local busybody Sherry Gherkins is poisoning the town with her own theories about the murder, and things are gonna get messy. Grab a cup of cocoa and curl up with the second chapter of Patrick Horvath's twisted tale of cozy animal community in crisis. I don't know that a cup of cocoa is really what you should be doing while reading this book, but man, this second issue, just when I thought that, the first issue does a really good job at proposing this story and hooking the reader, this second issue does a really good job at expanding the community and even adding to the list of problems that Samantha has to deal with as she tries to discover who this murderer is. Also, the impact of this murder in the community, a community of like really cute, fuzzy little animals that live a peaceful life, a quiet life, but now everything's been ruined, right? Like this is, even though they were not the victims themselves, the community still has suffered and taken a blow to the morale, to their their calmness, their nerves, and I think that Horvath does a really good job displaying that through the art. Let's take a look at some of the preview art here. As you can see, they've gathered with the sheriff, and just as you look at all the little faces, look at the detail that is put into them. Even though these are anthropomorphized animals, you can still sense the nerves, the eeriness, how freaked out everyone is. All these little pages. I just love that Horvath chooses like the cutest animals until we see this. We see Sherry, who is just loud and obnoxious, but she also has her own little theories. And also Samantha, always drawn as very calm, cool, and collected, and just she plays that role very well. I've been watching a lot of Fargo, which is a lot of it's a true crime type of TV show, and it reminds me a lot of the things they do here in this book. Reminds me a lot of the little tricks and tropes that show up in the show, but the book has a different approach to it because it's a static medium, and I just really love that the panels that the Horvath chooses to highlight, how many panels we get per page also really adds to the pacing. It slows things down a lot. Even just cutting to the little dog, even having the little funny joke of the turtle going back in its shell because it's startled. It is just really, really well done. So I'm really enjoying this book, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. I can't wait to see and get to the bottom of this mystery. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Charred Remains. This is a new book from MadCaveStudios. Let's take a look at the creative team before we get into this book. This book is written by Anthony Cleveland with art by Andrea Moody, letters by Taylor Esposito. And boy, what a jarring cover this is. I really, really like just the atmosphere that it immediately presents right off the bat. So let's talk about this issue. In this issue, a dark entity made of fire, smoke, and ash, the fireman, blazes through a young girl's home, killing her entire family. Amy Durant swears she saw this supernatural creature, but no one ever believed her. Unfortunately, these past fears reignite a decade later as her city goes up in flames. With no one else to rely on, Amy is forced to battle both past trauma and the face of the inferno. This, so I am a big fan of an anime called Fire Force. This has a lot of very similar vibes as far as like the supernatural aspect of the fire, which kind of drew me in immediately. This is completely different. I just felt that those vibes were very interesting. Um, it is a very tragic story, I think, not only because of the past trauma, but also because of that feeling of people not believing something, like, you know, not believing Amy. I think that's very, it's a feeling that it's easy to understand, because I think most of us have been in a position like that probably at some point in our lives, you know, and on different levels. So obviously this is up to the extreme. Also, there's some beautiful artwork here. Let's take a look at some of the preview art. I just really love this painterly, almost, I want to say it almost feels like watercolors, which is very interesting when juxtaposed with like the themes of fire in here. So the fact that, you know, the fact that the artist can do and evoke those feelings, I think, are really cool. There's a lot of very dark areas as well, and I really just appreciate all the, I don't know, it just really feels very painterly, even with the little splashes of white along the helmet, which just really build that atmosphere. All the little hidden details of this fireman, you know, the reflection in the glass here, the expression in her face, just really builds up to that. And then as we go 10 years later or 12 years later, and we see Amy as an adult, she's still dealing with a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I really just like the character designs. I love the painterly aspect of this, like just the, it doesn't feel like you're very run of the, you know, run of the mill comic book. I think it feels a little bit more than that, and I think that just adds a little bit more gravitas to like the approach of the story. So on top of this very serious story that we're telling you, the art really just adds another layer on top of that, which I really appreciated. The mystery, I don't know exactly where we're gonna go with this, but I think this is a really fun number one that you'll probably won't want to miss out on. So if you have read this issue, make sure to let me know down in the comments what you thought about it. There's two really cool variant covers, which you'll see at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.